Okay, can you hear me? Something? Okay. I do have a soft voice, so I definitely need the microphone. If you ask me to speak up, you can't hear me, that'd be fine. Or you can move forward if that's the case. But thank you for coming and allowing me to speak. I love neuropsychology. This is my field, my background, my love. So I know all about this, and whatever I can do to help you understand it better or help facilitate it, feel free to ask questions as I go. It's for you, not me. But it's all about neuropsychology, and I'm going to talk about the what, where, when, why, and what is neuropsychology, because people often don't really know what neuropsychology is. I was at an IEP meeting a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, and someone referred to me as a neuron doctor. I don't repair neurons, I don't do anything with neurons, but I do assess kids and young adults, of course, helping them get school plans and college plans and whatnot. So we'll talk about who should get that neuropsych assessment and what is assessed and where to get them. Well, of course, you can here at Stanford. But a neuropsychologist, so my training is in clinical psychology. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in California, and that's what neuropsychology is. And then to become a neuropsychologist, you take more classes. So you need more classes at graduate school. You take more classes, so you keep going to school. And you focus on brain behavior relationship, so not just on personality and mood and whatnot, but really how does the brain affect attention and processing speed and memory and IQ and intelligence and in real life, how do the kids learn best? I mean, how do kids learn better? When any kid I see at Stanford, before I test them, I always tell them, we all learn differently. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. And if I test you or your parent or whoever it may be, I'll give a chance to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, because we all have them. And schools tend to teach one way. One teacher generally teaches one way. And the whole purpose of the test, and I tell them, is really to figure out how you learn best. Because it helps me, and helps your mom, and it helps your teachers help figure out a school plan. And if I can figure out how you learn best, then it tells me, what kinds of strengths you have. If you're more of a visual learner or a hands-on learner, it helps us to devise a plan for the school. So I'm looking at a pattern of scores, kind of an overall pattern of scores. Is the child more visually based? Do they do better with auditory hearing? Do they do better with more seeing things? Do they do better when they use their hands? Do they do better when they stand? Do they have fidgets? Do they walk back and forth? I mean, all sorts of different things play a role into learning. And really the focus is on strengths and weaknesses. So not just the difficulties, but I really need to know what are the strengths too. And I need to know what to do about school plan, helping the kids out. So what is assessed? Who has had neuropsych testing? Anyone have experience with a neuropsychologist in school or been referred to as neuropsych testing? Is that through the school or the private using? The school district, yeah. So is it part of the IEP meeting then, the IEP process? So schools do testing as well. So the schools generally focus on like reading, writing, and math. And then I'll talk about what's assessed in the neuropsych assessment. It's a little bit different than the school testing, because I'm, of course, going to know about reading, writing, and math as well, but I want to know the child as a whole, altogether, not just the child at school in the daytime, but a child at home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After they put all that mental effort out and all that kind of control, and now they're more frustrated and tired and that aspect of things. So looking at the whole, at a whole. Our kids with Shane, they have a unique learning profile. Speaking, some of the kids that I see here are a little bit lower on IQ testing. Generally speaking, research has shown that on average, within a large group of kids, the average general IQ score are about 1 standard deviation lower than the general public, which means it's off the low average range. So it's not significantly impaired, it just means that it takes a little bit longer for learning to happen. And it certainly can learn, it can be able to see everybody else, the public school system is fine. It's just that the scores are a little bit lower. So we need to figure out what scores are lower and how to help them out so they don't feel as behind or they're taking longer to learn in school. Research has shown generally when I'm looking at IQ scores, there's the verbal IQ and there's the visual IQ. So verbal IQ is when I'm testing the kids and I'm asking them questions, how well can they give me verbal answers back? So if I'm asking them about like reasoning questions, they have to give me some dialogue back, explain their answers to me. If it's vocabulary, they have to give me vocabulary questions back. On the visual items, there's no language. I mean, I show what they know, or they're looking at pictures, puzzles, and abstract reasoning. And so looking at the child learn better for the visual areas. And generally speaking, the Duchenne kids have lower scores more on the verbal areas. They tend to have a little lower scores on their verbal expression. And so it's certainly helpful for me to know what kinds of strengths there are in the visual area. But attention, there's a whole wide range of things that we're looking at attention. So you're all paying attention to me right now. It's kind of a quiet room, and you're focusing very well. For the kids I'm testing, I put them through vigorous attention tests, because I know oftentimes when I'm testing them in the clinic, it's one-on-one testing, they do better. It's kind of fun, it's interactive, and kids do better one-on-one with me, so I got to really have to push the attention pieces. Some of the attention tasks I'm looking at sustained attention. So how well can a child pay attention non-stop for a 12-minute task? They just sit there and do something for 12 minutes straight. And that's hard for some kids, especially some of the ADHD kids, some of them who are more fidgety. It's hard to sit still for 12 minutes straight. It's kind of like listening to the teacher go wah, 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 wah for a long time. These tasks are long and arduous to pay attention constantly. But what I find really with attention is not the sustained attention task, but the kids at the shame are having more difficulties on the verbal attention tasks. So when I ask them to repeat sentences, so if I say sentences to them and ask them to say sentences back, that's hard for them. They have a hard time recalling the sentences. They have a hard time on a task on the IQ test that's called digit span. And in digit span, I say numbers, and if they repeat the numbers back. Then I say the numbers again, and I have to say the numbers backwards. And then the third part of it is I say the numbers again, and I have to say the numbers in sequential order. And that task is also difficult for them. So some of those more complex tasks with the whole information in mind appear to be a little bit more difficult for them. Visual attention, so one thing I'm looking at, so remember the kids are a little bit lower on the verbal IQ score, the pointer. The kids are a little lower on the verbal IQ scores. And so with the attention, I want to look at verbal attention and visual attention. And I noticed that the kids on digit span, I'm saying things to them, are lower, and on the sentences, they're lower. So they have a harder time of holding information in mind. So it helps us kind of devise a school plan that you need to make it kind of real and more interactive for them. So looking at kind of those areas, kind of, and making school plans, having attention tasks that are more visually based, having instructions written out or post-its on their desks, or instructions on the blackboard, or from the older kids probably have some cameras now, to take pictures of things in the classroom, take pictures of things on the chalkboard, or take pictures of the things in the overhead slides are helpful. So making things more visual for them is helpful. So the attention, divided attention is looking at kind of the multitasking thing. So how well can you kind of do two things at once? Can you switch back and forth smoothly? And it seems as though they're doing pretty well on that task. Shane kids. So processing speed is kind of looking at how quickly do the kids do these tasks. So we have attention and we have processing speed. Both of these things are really important to just kind of making the classroom run smooth in terms of efficiency. Processing speed tasks, I'm looking at mental speed, I'm looking at motor speed, I'm looking at verbal speed, I'm looking at academic speed, like reading, how fast can you read, how fast can you write, how fast can you do math problems. And generally speaking, kids with Duchenne have a little bit lower scores on, of course, the verbal fluency things again. So there's a little verbal pattern coming up again. Remember I said, look, as a neuropsychologist, I want to know the pattern of scores. Like, how does the child do just scores overall in general? So I'm seeing a little bit lower scores with the verbal fluency tasks. So what does that mean in the real life? So verbal fluency is kind of how quickly can you talk. Some of us talk too fast, like myself, and they need to slow down a little bit. And for some, verbal fluency is a little bit slower, and they take a little longer to get the words out. Me working with them, that's just fine. I can go at their speed or help them get the words out. It's harder socially on the playground or socially with academic peers, because peers don't take that much time with the fluency tasks. If you're not fast on the playground, or fast talking with your friends, you feel inadequate. It's hard to jump in a conversation and talk with them. You may have ideas that you want to say and want to talk with them, but it's hard to jump in with that topic, that speed. So it's vital to kind of understand not only the speed, just in terms of motor speed things, but really verbal speed as well. And verbal speed is a big thing here for the Duchenne kids. Because some of the kids are having some difficulties on some of the verbal IQ things, that makes learning a little bit more difficult in school. So I am seeing some little bit slower scores on the academic fluency pieces of it. So academic fluency is like reading, writing, and math kinds of things. In the real world, what does that mean? It just means that these kids, need extra time on tests. So SATs or ACTs or IRBs or the standardized tests that go on for weeks that the state does now, or just simple like final exams, kinds of things. They all certainly need extra time just to help them get their ideas out, but need extra time for some of the motor portions of it too. They need extra time just to kind of help the processing speed and kind of get all those kind of their thoughts out on paper and whatnot. I'm going to jump to the next slide before I do. Any questions about IQ or score or anything? On your testing that you had at school, did they kind of look at these areas or attention and processing speed as well?
Yeah. They had a little pattern and checked on how they heard and responded to stuff. Yeah.
And then did you get an IEP then in school?
Yeah.
You did fantastic. Great. Good. Is it helpful?
Yeah.
How's the testing?
I'd say it was good.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Well, the test is not that bad. Oftentimes parents go, oh, my child's going to hate it, it's going to be awful, it's going to be horrible. But the testing actually is pretty fun. There's a lot of like short little tests that we do, and they're all child-based, young adult interactive. And was it?
It was kind of easy.
Kind of easy, yes. That's good. It should feel easy. So how the tests start off, they start off at a low level, and then they keep going up and up and up and up until you can't do any more, and it stops. So that's how it goes. So we don't keep testing you on and on and on to figure out all the things you can do. It starts at a very easy level, and then once you kind of max out, it ends. So, for example, if you miss like 3 problems in a row on vocabulary, that's where it ends. So it feels like you kind of got to the end, which is great. And a lot of the tests now are on iPad, so I can the same test questions and the same IQ items, but they're on iPad now. So I don't know if you did it on an iPad testing. It's even more fun on iPad, where you can your iPad and your iPads talk and such. So the next area is also very important on testing and understanding our individual is memory and learning. So memory, of course, I really want to know about verbal memory and visual memory because I'm finding out a little pattern of scores in the verbal and visual things. Kids with Duchenne are having some difficulties more, so you might imagine, on the verbal memory tasks. And their strengths are on the visual memory tasks, right? So this tells me that in school and learning, I really got to make things visual for them. I got to make things visual for them for attention, and really make things for them visual for learning as well, seeing things. As much as they can see the things on the board, or see things in books, or have someone demonstrate the tasks is very helpful. So I'm looking at verbal and visual, and the verbal area is a little bit lower. When I find areas that are lower, like verbal memory, I go in more in depth into that. So I want to know, what kinds of verbal memories are weaker. Is it like rote memory, or is it contextual memory? So I don't know what kind of memory test you had, but did you get like a word list and it read you a long list of words? You gotta remember the words, you gotta say them over and over and over again. There's a word list test where I repeat 15 item words for
actually, let me say it like once.
Say it once?
Yeah, read like words that
So yeah. So if you had it with me, I would have really made you do a lot of words, many times. So I want to know how many, if I gave you a word list of 15 words, the first time I give it to you, I want to know how many words can you tell back to me. Because in school, the teachers only generally say things once. So it's helpful for me to know how much you can get back when you don't say it once. But I also want to give it to you 5 times. So I'll give you the word list again and again and again and again, because I want to know a learning slope. I want to figure out, is there plateauing? Can I do repetitive trials? Do you learn more if I repeat the words over and over again? And oftentimes I find that there is a positive learning slope. But I often find that actually the word list is not that hard for kids with Duchenne's. What is more difficult for them are the stories. You have to do they read you stories?
Yeah.
You have to repeat the stories back. So on stories, there's more contextual information. a lot more information. So if I tell you a story about a Halloween story, and a boy goes to the carnival, and he gets tickets, and he goes on the cake ride, and he wins his favorite cake, he chocolate cake, and there's a lot of information in the stories. And some kids do better with the stories because it's contextual. It has like context to it, you can see it and visualize it, but the Duchenne kids have a harder time with the stories. It's a lot of information, it's a lot of verbal overload for them. And they actually do a little better on the rote items. So that tells me that on the more complex things that are heavily verbally overloaded, they can get that kind of that verbal overload feeling. And I know in school, the schools tend to teach more verbal, right? The teachers are very verbal in their speaking, so it's kind of counteractive to how they want to learn. So the Duchenne kids do have a learning profile. It is helpful for them to have that figured out. Does that make sense so far? Yeah, it does. So I know that the road's a little bit easier for them. Things are kind of more complex and more details. They kind of get overloaded. They do better when things are more visual. And I'm also looking at some repeated learning trials. They do better with repeated learning trials. When they say things over and over again, and things repeated. So in school plans, I want to make sure that the teacher, says things not only just once to them, but goes back and checks for understanding, or we're sure once they start the task, the teacher goes around and ensures that they're all doing the task correctly. Sometimes instructions can be written out. If the teacher doesn't want to repeat things, they can either have the things written down on a post-it pad and put the post-it on their desk. I'm also looking at immediate memory and delayed memory. So if I ask you those words, ask you to tell me the words back, that's immediate memory. And then 30 minutes later, I'll say, hey, remember those words that you said a little while ago? Can you tell me those words again? That's looking at delayed memory. So are there any differences from immediate to delayed memory? And the Duchenne kids, it looks like no, they actually can hold on to the information. So once they got it in memory storage, it stays. And then I'm looking at recognition format also. So if they are having difficulties on the verbal learning tasks, do they do better if I can give them some support, some cues? Was the boy Johnny or was the boy David? So the kids do better on recognition format. It's helpful for me to know that because the teachers need to ask, give them prompts or give them, choices to choose from. So sometimes kids have a harder time with the free recall. You tell them the story back. But then when I ask them cues, was it a cake that he won? Was it a shoe that he won? Or was it a computer that he won? They always tell me the right one, the cake. So I know that the kids have a harder time getting the words out through verbal means. They do better with the recognition. What that means when they do better through recognition, it tells me that the memory is a memory storage. That they encoded it, they got it in there, but they're having a harder time pulling it out through the verbal routes. So that's why I want to know about the recognition format, because the Duchenne kids need some help kind of getting the information out of their minds. And they get stuck in there, and they have a hard time putting it out into words. But the information's in there, that's a good thing. And then there's things that we don't look at in testing, like procedural memory, like riding a bike. We all know how to ride a bike, and that's kind of something that's kind of programmed in there automatically. In remote memory tasks, like childhood memory things, I'm not testing those sort of things, because those are pretty much stay intact. That's the memory and learning piece of it. The other big thing that schools don't address not much all that well is the executive functioning. So who's heard of executive functioning before? No. Not surprised. Anybody else? Executive functioning? So that's too bad. So the schools really need to do executive functioning tests. So if you think about, I want to talk about executive functioning. It's all of these things here. So if you think about what the executive manager does, the executive manager is in charge of running a whole team, right? The executive manager has to do planning, has to do organizing, they have to get the team motivated and get started on something. They have to kind of set a goal and work towards that goal. If the team isn't working well, they have to put on the brake and stop and come up with a new plan, switch. So executive functioning is looking at how well can all of you and you do those things all by yourself. And I often find that parents are the executive manager for the kids, helping them do a lot of these things. We need to figure out what areas are hard for them, hard for you, and with executive skills. Some kids have a hard time with just one executive skill, like starting a task or planning and organizing, and everything else is okay. And some kids have a harder time with more than one thing. It's really helpful to figure these out. And unfortunately, schools don't look at this sort of thing because schools don't teach this. Schools teach reading, writing, and math. And schools treat reading, writing, and math. So when there's a reading disability, schools can treat it. But with executive functioning problems, schools don't treat that per se. So it's not really well addressed in school, but it's a huge thing with learning. The weakness in planning and organizing, affects your writing skills, affects your reading abilities, and all sorts of different things. So with executive functioning, we're looking at how well is your executive manager? How well are you at operating all your little departments in your mind? So here's the cognitive skills, so initiation. So how well can you sit down and start something on your own? Can you sit down and do your homework by yourself, or is your parents going to help you with that initiation part of it? Or planning and organizing. How well do the kids are able to plan and organize by themselves? Plan and organize like a task, a project, or plan and organize like a writing assignment. Writing has a lot of planning and a lot of organizing into it. You have to plan what you want to write in an essay, what you want to say, what your key points are, what your intro paragraph will be, what your middle paragraphs will be. You have to plan your conclusion paragraph. There's a lot that goes into planning and organizing the writing. Time management. How well you with the time management piece of it. Schools don't really address this at all, but time management is a huge thing. It's one of the kids that say, "Oh, my homework will take 5 minutes," and then half an hour later, you're still on halfway through the paper. But time management is a huge thing. Understanding the process of time and understanding the passage of time is important. Task monitoring is also an executive functioning task. So as you're doing your math, let's say as you're doing your math, are you kind of paying attention to what you're doing? If it's the problem is 7 minus 1, and you come up with 8, I mean, you kind of self-monitoring as you're doing it. So there's task monitoring. They have to kind of monitor yourself on task. Some kids will do really well on spelling tests, but then when I have them write an essay, the spelling goes out the window. It's just horrible. So are you monitoring all that like on an essay? You're monitoring your planning, your organizing, your spelling, your grammar, and what you want to talk about. And then there's also the self-monitoring piece. So like on a recess, you kind of step out of yourself a little bit and kind of monitor how your interactive skills are. Like for example, some kids with ADHD have a hard time with self-monitoring because they're going to be more impulsive. They don't do well with that kind of stepping out and monitoring. But all of these things here are kind of more the cognitive skills. And you think that if a child has some difficulties with this area, something that we all know about the kids with ADD, attention deficit disorder. The kids with attention deficit disorder tend to have these kind of weaknesses here. And then there's also behavioral regulation up at the top here. So behavioral regulation is impulse control. Can you stop yourself? Shifting is like it's transitioning. Can you stop and like move on to the next task easily? Can you come in from recess and then sit down at your desk and work easily? Can you transition easily down into group time? Can you work at your desk doing individual work, and then can you sit down and do group work easily? So shifting is hard for some kids. Some kids need warning. Some kids don't do well on shifting because they like consistency, like be consistent in the same thing over and over again. And when things become shifting is surprising, but the surprises come up, it's hard for them. So some kids have a hard time on shifting. Kind of need to be prepared or forewarned into unexpected changes. And then another behavioral regulation piece is the emotional regulation. Just kind of how well does your executive manager do with kind of regulating your emotions and such. And some kids have a harder time with that, which means that they get provoked more easily. So some problems that most kids would kind of bypass, you become more sensitive to. And it's also harder to get them to reset after their calm state. So this is a huge thing with my testing. I always want to look at executive function. I often find weaknesses in these areas that need to be addressed. That pertains a lot to learning and academics. But any questions about executive functioning? You see how that goes into learning quite a bit. We have an hour and 10 minutes. I don't want to talk about like that. So I'm also looking at these areas. So auditory processing is something that we'll kind of address. I know if I see weaknesses with auditory processing, that's something we should probably see a speech and language pathologist. Some more reasoning tasks, like fluid reasoning tasks, where we do inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning to kind of figure out problems. But these are two big areas for the Duchenne kids I want to look at, because this is an area of strength. So I really want to know about the visual processing areas, because generally speaking, within their profiles, this is an area that they do better in. And so this is something that definitely want to document in testing, because this is what's going to help us out in the classroom and help us out in high school anyway. And then, of course, this is something that's a little bit weaker for them, is these language-based tasks. And it seems to be more so on verbal fluency and then expression. It's a bit hard for them. So that speed of talking and the verbal fluency part. And there's a verbal skill I didn't talk about in the memory area. It's up there. It's called the working memory. I don't know if you saw that bullet point or not. So working memory, there's a verbal working memory, and there's a visual working memory. So if I ask you to go dial this number on a telephone, 650-815-6127. That's my cell phone number. If I ask you to go to call that, you probably will, in your mind, go 650-815-6127, 650-815-6127, and so you dial it in. As soon as you dial that number and you talk, that number is out of your mind again. 3 seconds later, you have no idea what the number is gone. That's your verbal working memory. So that area is a little bit harder for kids with the change. That verbal component, holding that verbal information in mind. That's where I tell them the digispan. I say, can you say these numbers backwards? It's a little bit lower on the score. That verbal component there. They do better with the visual working memory. So if they see like a visual sequence or visual patterns, and have to hold that in mind, we do a little better with the visual piece of it. So I know in school, whatever I can do to make things visually based for them is helpful. So if a teacher says, get out your textbooks, turn to page 12, do the odd items in the back of the book. There's like 3 steps, there's 3 things you have to hold in your head. And then the kids that kind of hold up their hands and say, what do I do again? Or they'll get to the first paragraph and they'll read the first paragraph and, oh, I gotta read the questions in the back of the book. And then read the questions in the back of the book and, oh, I forgot the first paragraph. I have to go back and read the first paragraph. So there's that verbal component. So in real life, that verbal working memory is a huge thing in the classroom. The teacher gets like those kind of longer, complex verbal tasks. It's hard. Some of the kids with Duchenne have a harder time with complex language, kind of complex directions. And that shows up on the sentence repetition. When I ask them, when I ask them to repeat sentences, it's harder than repeat sentences. Hold that verbal information in mind. And it's not like that much bad. It's just like a little bit lower. It's like, just a little bit lower, just to make things a little more difficult in school. It's a little more challenging, but by no means they can't do it. Okay, so where do I get this testing done? Of course, schools can do testing, and we do testing here at Stanford. So where do I find a neuropsychologist? There's neuropsych testing here at the hospital here. We provide it at the HEAL program. The adult side has neuropsych testing on the adult side of the hospital. There's private clinics around the Bay Area that do testing as well. Schools do testing, like I said, but it tends to be more focused on psychoeducational things. They call it psychoeducational testing. They focus on the school-based things so much, and not as much on more broader things outside of school. So then, when do I do it? Why should I get it done? And what else? So not when you're sleepy and tired, and this person's probably a little bit too young. But when's a good time to get tested done? So high school is a great time to have neuropsych testing done. Because oftentimes what I find out in elementary school, the kids are being helped along so well. There's a lot of kids in elementary school need support and help. But then high school comes around. In high school, there's now 7 different teachers, 7 different classes, 7 different ways to write a paper, 7 different ways to turn in the paper. Some teachers want the paper turned in the basket. Some teachers collect the homework assignments. There's a lot of things to handle in high school. And all those kinds of things are impacting executive functions. So some of the things that the kids kind of did well on in elementary school are now becoming more difficult in high school. So like, for example, like essay writing. So there's probably more support in elementary school for essay writing. But now in high school, essay writing is really important because you have to show what you know. And it takes planning, it takes organization, it takes initiation, it takes self-monitoring. And some of those difficulties are more evident in high school. So high school is really a good time to have some neuropsych testing there. about midway through high school is a good time to have the testing done. It's good to have documentation of testing so you can get support if needed on SATs or ACTs or on college applications. You're applying to colleges, it's helpful to have the assessment done for as part of your college application. And so, I mean, that's generally a nice time. Season and time of day, I'll say, just because, like, if I'm seeing kids in the summertime, I'll say let's test at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If I'm seeing kids in the middle of the school year, I'll say let's test at 9 a.m. Because kids are more bright and alert on 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, except in summertime. In summertime, they're just sleeping in, so like getting up at 9 a.m. to come see me is not so helpful. In the summertime, you get a lot of yawns. Just plan it on. You know, do you want to have the testing done during the summertime, not in school, or do you want to have it, you know, morning time, afternoon time? Those are kind of some things to think about for the testing side. Why should I have testing done? For those who can't see this, it says, sometimes the most brilliant and intelligent minds do not shine in standardized tests because they don't have standardized minds. That we know. So, like I said, schools tend to teach one way, and it's fine for the most group of kids. But no matter who you are at Packard, I find a lot of the Packard kids think and have their own unique ways of thinking. And it's really helpful to figure out how they think. And that's one of the main reasons of why I want to have testing done. Even if they're only having a little bit of academic difficulty in school, you know, it's still helpful to learn what your learning pattern is, just to make it a little bit easier. So why to get it done is obviously to have a neuropsych test done, you do get more support. If I see a report that has a diagnosis on like an ADHD report, it's a label. It's unfortunate. Labels are unfortunate, but it does help us educators and planners kind of understand someone better. So if I'm looking at a report and it has labels like lower verbal IQ scores or things like that, it gives me a lot of information about how to make a school plan. So it's really helpful support-wise. Even if the scores are just a little bit low, it's still very helpful to learn what is a little bit low, what's a little bit high to make plans. We're going to talk about kind of IEPs and 504s and all those kinds of things, but it's very necessary for establishing IEPs and 504s. Sometimes schools want to do their testing, and they want to look at reading, writing, and math. Then I want to do my testing, so I want to look at everything else that they look at. So it's helpful for that. For better understanding. And also, is it normal? Also, parents will say, like, geez, this is normal. Wow, my child is like a little bit hard, has a little bit difficulty with his math problems. Or, now they're in high school when math is still struggling. Now they're still struggling with math, and now the math grades are C's and D's. Is it normal? They should be concerned about that. So it's a good way to answer those kinds of questions. Is it normal? So what else? So most of the testing is done one-on-one. I do one-on-one testing. I do the testing myself because I like to work with the individual. Some places, like adult neuropsychology,